In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Jeremy Mayfield was one of NASCAR's top drivers as he won 5 Cup Series races. However, during this time he burnt bridges with various teams. In fact, from 2006 to 2008, Mayfield drove for 5 different teams. For 2009, he decided to start his own team, Mayfield Motorsports.
Let's check with that yoke.
And Mike, looking at the team's overhead pit camera video, Kyle Rowland, when he jumped off the wall, you can see he was hit with the right front corner of the race car. Now, team officials told me he injured his shoulder yesterday, and this might have just made that injury, taken it to a whole other step. Team officials did say he was talking and alert on the stretcher. We'll get more information as we have it from the Athletic Care Center.
Now, from the uniform, we are guessing that Kyle Rowland was borrowed from Jeremy Mayfield's team. Jeremy's going to try to qualify for the 500 in race number 2, and is going to have to replace Kyle going over the wall, if that's the case.
And he just timed it wrong. I mean, he's the jack man. He's got to be the first guy over there, and he just got out there a little late, actually. He should have been out there a little sooner, and he didn't really know what to do.
Yeah, the rule is you can't go across into the car is 1 pit away, and like Darrell said, he just didn't time it. But one of the greatest things that NASCAR has done over the last few years is mandatory helmets on every pit crew member that goes across the wall.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they'll penalize you a lap if you have a crew member over the wall.
Happened in the ARCA race to Joey Logano.
It did.
And problems for Jeremy Mayfield. This is his race car and a team he put together 3.5 weeks ago. Thought he might have a vibration. And as of yesterday, nobody on this team had gotten their first paycheck. That's how new this team is, but they'll bank at least or nearly $250,000 for starting this race and hope they can get back in it.
Yeah, it's a team that plans on running the entire schedule.
Preparation, you know, they obviously have been under a lot of pressure to get this car down here, get it prepared to race, getting it in the race, and then I've got to believe those guys are worn out from just getting into the race. So mistakes are not uncommon when you're in that kind of stress.
Jeremy Mayfield also missed the show at Las Vegas after making the season's first 2 races. Not quick in practice, and he is going to need to get probably in the teens, if not right on about 30-20, if he wants to race here Sunday.
You know, you're talking about Joe. It's just one hurdle at a time. Okay, I'm in the race.
Right.
Now we'll work on getting some tires and a pit crew for the race, and then we'll worry about the race.
Jeremy Mayfield is going to be the slowest of 43 so far at a 30.81. And that lap, well, it won't lock David Gilliland in because of Bill Elliott in the Champions Provisional situation, but it will send Gilliland 1 step closer to racing on Sunday.
Yeah, right now it looks like who's in real jeopardy. 2 teams that made the first 2 races, and both of them missed Las Vegas. And that's Scott Riggs in the 36 car, and now Jeremy Mayfield in the 71. They're not locked out yet,
no.
But they're back there, I think, in trouble.
Yep.
Second lap is a little slower for Mayfield, whose Cup career started here in 1995.
They've just struggled ever since they unloaded earlier today. It's like when you look at them in the 36, the tracks, the bump stops, the bumps you have to deal with, maybe teams that don't have access to these pull-down rigs, that's where they're struggling right now, Darrell.
Sure seems that way. They had good cars at Daytona. They were very competitive down there, but ever since we've gone to these high-speed racetracks, they've suffered.
Todd Bodine goes home along with Scott Riggs, Jeremy Mayfield, and Jeffrey Bodine. Jeremy Mayfield in the all-sport Toyota, he's got to go. He was not fast in practice, needs to find some speed here, and 15.71 may not be good enough.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be good enough. That'll be good news for Travis Quapple, that 28 car, though.
The second lap is quicker, a 15.70, but Mayfield, who has started on the second row here in the past, is in jeopardy as Quapple is locked in along with Blaney and Gilliland.
Yeah, you know, this team qualified for the Daytona 500. They qualified on time at Auto Club Speedway, and they've lost it since then. They've missed the last 2 races, and they're in jeopardy of missing this race here at Bristol.
Well, in Vegas and in Atlanta and in here, I mean, you have got to be spot on. Your handling package has got to be good, and you got to have some horsepower under the hood.
So Michael Waltrip, who is in a backup car, will be the last car to qualify.
he just gets you a nice solid run in here in the old backup car.
That's the two cars that will not make the show because Michael Waltrip is a car that's in the top 35. So Jeremy Mayfield, Scott Riggs will not race for the third consecutive week.
5 races into the season, and Mayfield had qualified for just 2 races and had a best finish of 34th at Fontana. Additionally, his car remained outside of the top 35 in owners' points, which would automatically qualify him for a race.
Oh, got a car in the wall, turn 441.
That's Jeremy Mayfield. No caution yet.
No caution. We've seen this a lot today. This is not unusual. If he can get down on the inside, he should stay green.
And there should be a break in the traffic right about here if the car will turn. Not yet. Maybe he'll try to get down in the back straightaway. They're not going to wait.
When it happens in turn
out.
3 and 4 like that, hard to get all the way back around to the pit road.
Well, a few laps ago, Denny Hamlin heard what no leader wants to hear in a long green run like this. They told Hamlin, you need to save me a half a gallon of gas.
Here we go.
Oh, trouble hard in the wall, Robbie Gordon. And around goes Jimmy Johnson.
Denny Hamlin's involved, Martin Truex Jr., David Stremme. This is version 2 of the big one.
Oh, Montoya just got shoved into Bobby Labonte, and just like a croquet ball being sent, Robbie Gordon got shot into the inside wall.
Boy, Jeremy Mayfield going there in a 41 car, he's got a lot of fire coming out of that automobile. Let's see what happened here. Montoya got hit by the 11.
Yep, there it is.
And that turned him a little bit to the left, and then or to the right, and then when he corrected, he got into Bobby Labonte, and it was on from there.
Boy, Hornish scooted through there for a while and then got turned.
Trouble, Darrell, front straightaway. Jeremy Mayfield has spun, something broken under the rear of that car because the right sides are on the ground.
Boy, they are.
Well, you want to know who was breathing.
Look at the right side. He hit the wall pretty good, Larry.
A strong sigh of relief. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was just about to get lapped.
See what happened here on this
on the right side before we go to.
Watch that silver 41 coming into view in the outside lane.
Popped that wall pretty hard.
Makes a little contact there, but I think there must be more to this story than here he is on the front straightaway. So he did some damage as he rubbed the wall down the back there. Then he spun out, and that's what blew out the right side tires.
Yep, there they go, down on the rim. So we're under caution. Officially, this is the 3rd caution of the night. We ran the first 6 laps under a green-yellow condition, drying the track out.
After 10 races, Mayfield's qualifying improved as he started 3 additional races. However, his best finish was just a 32nd at Talladega. Perhaps good things would be around the corner for Mayfield and his team.
Jeremy Mayfield, driver of the number 41 car in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Tony Martin, a licensed crew member with the number 34 team in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And Ben Williams, a licensed crew member with the number 16 team in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, have been indefinitely suspended from NASCAR for violating the sanctioning body's substance abuse policy.
So multiple race winner Jeremy Mayfield, driver the number 41, has been suspended from NASCAR indefinitely for violation of the substance abuse policy. It simply doesn't happen much in Sprint Cup competition. For more, let's go back into the garage and rejoin Wendy Venturini.
This is definitely the biggest news of 2009 regarding the substance abuse policy. We heard from Jim Hunter. There is a zero-tolerance substance abuse policy in NASCAR. He went on to say it's one of the toughest policies in our sport. Jeremy Mayfield has been confirmed to fail his drug test and has been indefinitely suspended. Now, there was a lot of questions just now in this press conference regarding whether Claritin falls on that list of the drug, and they are referring to their doctor, Robert Black, on that issue. Now, they did tell us, NASCAR did tell us they did eliminate alcohol from that testing policy from that test, so we know it was not alcohol. Now, we do know last week in Richmond, this test took place last week at Richmond. Typically, they get about 4 to 8 drivers every Cup weekend in the Cup garage that are tested. Every driver in the Sprint Cup Series was tested before the season started, but 4 to 8 of them get tested on a weekly basis. Last week, it was Jeremy Mayfield. There was an A and a B sample taken. When he failed the A sample, they went ahead and took another sample, and he failed that one too. So we're just following on more details of this story, but we do know alcohol was eliminated, but definitely a sad story in the garage from what we've heard regarding the substance abuse policy. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot, and certainly that makes the story a little bit more sad right now. If you remember back to the beginning of the season, a couple weeks before the Daytona 500, Jeremy Mayfield did not even have a team. He didn't have any race cars. He put a team together, came down, and started making some waves as an independent owner.
On May 9th, Mayfield was suspended indefinitely from NASCAR after failing a random drug test. Eventually, it was revealed that he tested positive for methamphetamine, although it was claimed that if Mayfield took the amount of the drug that NASCAR said, he would be dead.
Time now for the news story of the week. A judge issued a temporary injunction on Wednesday that lifted Jeremy Mayfield's drug suspension, saying he is free to race. District Court Judge Graham Mullen concluded the, quote, likelihood of a false positive in this case is quite substantial, end quote. The judge also addressed NASCAR's concerns of allowing someone who tested positive for an illegal drug on the track, saying NASCAR can test Mayfield constantly to determine if he is using. NASCAR has said they will test Mayfield if he attempts to qualify for a race. Mayfield said he will gladly submit to the tests. He did not make it to Daytona to compete. We bring Kyle and Larry back in on this very difficult subject, guys. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, I'm not going to address just that situation. I'm going to address the substance abuse policy across the board with NASCAR. I support very, very much them being very aggressive with their substance abuse policy. Our athletes, they do not have a baseball bat in their hand, a football or basketball. They have 3,550-pound race cars with over 800 horsepower driving off into most corners at over 200 miles an hour. Then when they come down pit road, like here at 55 miles per hour, there are crew members out there on pit road. I think NASCAR has to be as aggressive as any sport out there with their substance abuse policy.
Kyle, he mentioned the ball and stick sports. You know, they have unions for their athletes. You guys do not.
No, we're independent contractors, and that's why Jeremy's fighting so hard. If I believe I'm innocent on anything, I'm going to fight for it, and Jeremy is fighting for it. You've got to give him kudos for that. You got to give NASCAR kudos for standing up and saying, this is our policy, we're fighting it. We're going to have a better policy in the sport when this is all said and done. The loopholes will be closed. Things will go their way. I'm not a legal scholar. I'm not a doctor. I can't address any of those issues, and I'm not going to. But just as Larry said, this is not striking out. This is not missing a free throw. This is not missing an extra point. This is a life and death sport, and there's no room in this sport for any substance that impairs the way you drive.
All right, and obviously we'll keep you up to date on any new breaking issues with this story.
On July 1st, Mayfield's suspension was lifted as a result of a United States District Court injunction. However, Mayfield tested positive for the drug again in a later test, and he got suspended again. During this time, his team shut down. As of March 2019, Mayfield has not entered the NASCAR Road to Recovery program and remains suspended. Mayfield only started 5 races in 2009 out of 11 races entered. He got a best start of 18th at Daytona and a best finish of only 32nd at Talladega. However, Mayfield did lead 2 laps during the season.